Hey up Woodlanders, welcome back. It's a gumboots kind of day today, look, because we've had so much rain yesterday. It never stopped raining, and this morning it's freezing. It's like the heating's come on again. It's June. So I'm just on my way down to have a quick look to see what kind of Muntjac damage we've got going on, because the little cuties are doing a little number on my Coppice regen. I love to nibble off all of the Hazel shoots, which is not good for productivity. So I keep my eye on the little lovelies. So this is the Coppice I cut last week. You know, that a couple of weeks ago I did that last minute Coppice cut. Well, we've got some new shoots coming up, so that's good, and some new growth. You see that right down there, look, new growth, new growth, new growth. Oh yeah, that's good, because I was just a little bit worried about this. I really wasn't sure if it was the right decision, and while I still don't encourage it, and I'm still not sure if I would do it again, what it did highlight to me is how my very poor timings are not ideal. But at the moment we don't seem to be looking too bad. Even the willows don't even look chomped, which is quite remarkable. Some of you have asked about the diversity that Coppice brings. Now, all of this that I cut last winter, so it was about October, November time, maybe December, was devoid of any vegetation. Now in winter that's the case anyway, but if you come down in summer, all you saw was a thicket of hazel with nothing underneath it. Honestly, nothing underneath it. So now, I mean, I wouldn't say our woodland is the most diverse place on the planet. However, we've got things like now, because it's all open, as you can see, we've got things like rosebay willow herb, we've got a little bit of purple vetch growing here, we've got some geums. That's this one growing here, the finished flowering now, but that's geum. Some fern, that probably would have, some grasses. What else have we got? We've got, that's a little bit more geum. A little bit of cowslip, cow parsley, not cowslip, cow parsley. Oh, now that's Muntjac damage, look. That there, that there, that there. We've eaten the tops off, so that means the Muntjac are getting in this area. You perhaps get an idea of the diversity that comes up: wildflowers, grasses, herbs, and what that does is create new things for the insects to thrive on, new things for the bees to pollinate. It creates areas where small mammals can come in and eat the insects. Birds eat the insects and the caterpillars. That creates raptors and mammals. You get things like newts and lizards coming in, although I've not seen any for a few years. You get things like grass snakes coming in, all because you've opened it all up. As a contrast, if you do things like high forest management, which is cutting down, they call that thinnings, so what they'll do is probably a 40% thin, so nearly every other tree gets cut down. All the other trees stay up and they go on to maturity for perhaps another 20 years. You find that any diversity underneath still doesn't come, because you might get a bit of light for maybe a year or two, and then the big tall trees will just cast their shade over the ground, and you end up with probably just nettle and bramble growing and very little of anything else. But this Coppice cycle of regular cutting, maybe for some species every 1 or 2 years, other species every 7, other species every 15, you get this new flood of light come to the forest floor, and that might last for about 4 years of gradual differing diversity, and eventually the canopy closes over. Those seeds lie dormant in the ground, ready for the next burst of cutting, the next burst of life. And because coppicing, you do it in rotations of coops, so you have like a block that you'll do 1 year, a block you'll do another year, block you'll do another year, and by the time you come back to your first block, which is that rotational cycle again, you're always creating a new area of cut material, so there's always another bit of diversity growing. So these different age structures in a way within a coppice management system, which is absolutely amazing. It's ancient, it really works, and you get your materials out. The wildlife absolutely thrive from it. So it really is a wonderful system. So I hope that gives you a little bit of insight into some of the stages of coppice management and how the regrowth comes, and how you get this ground cover of green with all its different flowers, herbs and things like that. It really is an incredible system. So I just thought I'd show you that. So a bit of a mixed week really this week. I'm not quite sure what's coming up, which is always exciting. So today I'm going to empty the charcoal retorts. So tomorrow could be a roof and repair on a little outhouse thing. If not, then it could be a fencing job I've priced up for. That's a possibility tomorrow. And if all of these jobs don't actually come off this week, we will be up the woods as much as possible, trying to get some tidying up done, some charcoal made, some things moved about, a little bit of branch locking perhaps. Might even have some timber extraction later in the week. I was chatting with that fella last week who bought the scrap metal off, and he got a little small holding. He was saying just before COVID broke out, he was selling a few bits on eBay. This chap come and then started ended up knocking the price down and this, but then a couple of weeks later, in which an incident which he thinks is linked, his small holding gets robbed in the middle of the night. They steal expensive mountain bikes, they steal his lad's motocrossing bike, which is brand new, generators, welders, his dad's toolkit that his dad had given him before he died. We worked out, I mean, based on just chatting to him, we reckon there must have had at least a van, if not 2 vans worth of kit. And I felt really sorry for him. He's like, and he never got any of it back. And even the insurance assessor came, and even they were looking at him as though it was an inside job. And I think you sort of what are you doing in there? Understand how somebody feels that way is when you've got something stolen for yourself. So I've had a ruck of stuff stolen over the years. I've had stuff stolen from my own house. So I had a van stolen once, and they decided to tow it away with the seat belts. Took it up to the local way in Onbridge. I managed to intercept them at the breaker's yard, believe it or not. On the weighbridge, I was waiting for them, and they turn up with my van, undo everything. I asked them what was going on, and they said, "Oh, we're weighing in this van, mate." I says, "No, you're not. It's because it's mine." And they absolutely ran a mile, so I chased them down the road like some vigilante. And so they managed to get a conviction from that. And he was just a serial offender. He just robbed things regularly and was regularly in and out of prison. And I've had strimmers stolen out the back of the van, machinery. I've had the biggest one was I had an Ifer Williams tipper trailer, which was a cracking piece of kit. So I never got that back, even though I had it on the equipment register and all the VIN plates. I'd give. The police were actually very good with me. They came out. They went to the farm. They pretty well knew who'd done it, but they said just walk away, because they're just not the kind of people you mess with. So I didn't, and so I lost about £2.5 grand then. I'd been on holidays to Scotland, and I thought, you know what, the tipper trailer was a bit too big for what I wanted. The tipper trailer now would have been fantastic. I was going to put it up for sale and use the money from that to buy myself a better trailer, well, a more ideal trailer. And the surplus cash would have helped me buy other things to boost at the time, my gardening maintenance business. And honestly, no joke, it set me back financially, and I felt almost like productivity and my ability to make progress doing what I was doing was hampered by about 2 years, about 12, 13 years ago. And honestly, it still gets to you. The only thing I've got left, besides the memory, is one of the nut dust caps off one of the wheels. I've still got that, and a couple of photos, that's it. But it just got me to thinking, what have you had stolen And how did it make you feel? You know, by all means, just have a bit of a discussion down below. I'm happy to chip in away. I've had my fair share of things stolen. It never gets any easier, and you just think, sometimes you almost think, is it worth having anything? But the trouble is, you can't function in this world, in this Western world anyway, with nothing. I'm interested to find out. Managed all those 4 barrels, emptied all of the charcoal out, and out of that I managed to get 25.5 boxes. So I filled up all of these barrels with more wood ready for charcoal in. So that's 1, 2, 3. Just loaded one up in the retort. I'll get off and I'll see you in the morning. I thought I'd bring some timber with me today. So it's a bit of cherry. So I've got a couple of pieces in the boot, a couple of pieces here. Lovely timber. The biggest challenge I have with cherry is it just wants to move and twist and warp all over the place. But I found over the years we wanted to turn everything we got into a product if we could. So, you know, I put the stuff on the sawmill, and we did like big chunky door stops with roping and chopping boards, tea light holders, key rings. I don't think there was one thing that was particularly a great seller. And after about 2 years of slogging at it, I just honestly could not make it pay. And I don't think it's particularly expensive. I mean, when you're charging like £2.50 for a coaster, or maybe £2 for a key ring, I didn't think that was expensive, but or either that or the quality's nobody dared tell me that actually your stuff is utter junk and we're just being polite. Now that could be true, some truth in that. Sadly, the whole finished timber thing went by the wayside, but I still do I still do some stuff in the workshop. Recently I've just done some coasters for my niece as that was an anniversary present to her husband. Karen used to do a lot of pyrography. With her not being too well, it doesn't always work out so much, but I like the pyrography side of things. I really quite enjoy that. But so of course, with all of that, I have got plank timber everywhere. And it was always my motto: local timber for local people. Everything that comes out of the woodland has a use, but certainly the plank timber side of things, it's very limited. If you have any ideas of what you can make that are small, that you think people want on a regular basis, household things really, yeah, let me know. If you've got any ideas, some brainwaves, some inspiration that you think would be an outlet for finished timber products, and it's just knowing what to do with it all really. I've got that much of it, it's almost becoming, it's a chaotic mind, I think. Let me know if you've got a solution to that as well. Right, I'm off. Little fencing job this morning for a chappie in Newell. I used to do the garden for his mum, and the front fence has been up for a long time, as you saw. So it was just a case of replacing that, which is a nice little job. So I've just finished that. It's absolutely roasted today as well. I'm baking up a little head and roasted alive, I think. Morning. Today we are charcoaling. I think I want to have a bit of a tidy up again, so as I'm doing the retorts I just keep ebbing and flowing between different little niggly jobs. That is today, and it's an absolutely stunning day. It feels like summer day. It's a proper barbecue day today. I'm sure, like me, as soon as the sun comes out you're like, oh, I can have a barbecue. And in fact this weekend looks pretty good as well. We'll have a quick leg outside. Look at that. What a cracker. I've got my jacket on but I don't need it. It's 9 o'clock in the morning and we're on about 20 degrees already, so I think it's going to be a bit of a blazer today. So I've got a little bit distracted, just waiting on the retort. These pine needles they're long enough for pine needle baskets. These are about 4 inches longish, something like that. Anything over 4 inches is alright for pine needle baskets. So I let these dry out underneath the canopy. So it's just a case of stripping these off, and I'm going to store them in this little box, take them home with me. Right, that's about it for them. I've got a box full. The job is to empty this hookway style retort. Yeah, to skins add it. That's not a fault of the design, it's a fault of my manufacturing processes. It's all to do with I can't weld, and the vermiculite inside is it absorbs moisture if it's not basically a sealed container, and I couldn't weld, so. That means it's gassing, which means we've got to shut down the oxygen supply. Like that, shut off the oxygen supply. And that means that the gases inside that get driven out of the timber that you're trying to charcoal, those are volatile, which means a good spark and they'll explode. So those gases will sustain the fire, and even though there's hardly any oxygen getting in, the sheer force of the gases coming out of the timber and the hot embers that are in the bottom of the pan just force it to stay lit, and it's quite amazing. You have to sort of control it. Basically, it's about an hour and a half, and that should be cooked. So this is like the adventure zone. Our daughter's sort of growing out a lot of this now. She'll play on it a little bit, but not a great deal. She tends to be more into exploring bugs and wildlife and photography and little things like that. So this rail's got to come off. That slide over there's got to come down. Those ties over there, they were gifted to me by somebody who decided to chuck them in my ditch, and I thought I'll put them to good use and build an igloo, but it never really got quite finished, which was a shame, because I got some friends that come up and did loads of work to that one day just to try and help us out when Karen was in hospital. Only the enthusiasm waned for me, and I just never got a chance to finish it. So that's all bolted together, so I'm going to unbolt it all. That's that one down. Right, on to the next one. On gas now. Didn't get very far with my tyre removal because I managed to strip the adapter. It's like a quarter drive adapter, and that's stripped, so I'm not sitting there with a ratchet when I've got an easy way of doing it with the impact driver. Sort of losing momentum really now. The second barrel of charcoal is in. That has just started to gas, but it's been a bit temperamental on this, so at the moment we're on 340. So I should stay around till that starts gassing again, and then I can shut it down then. I know it looks like I'm just lifting bits of wood from one place to another, but there is a purpose and a reason. I've got to branch log those sticks that are excess, they'll be branch logged for charcoal making, and this is for charcoal conversion. Just looks a bit weird. So all the offcuts there, and all those offcuts there, and some of those rods there that are no good, those ones there, will be going into this cage here. That will be for the bottom of the retort. That's probably the best way of putting it. I've got my brother-in-law, my sister and Karen. They're doing timber extraction today. So they're on the tractor. So while they're doing that, I'm busy trying to just sort all the little bits and jobs out. I tell you what, when it's hot, it's a killer. We've had such a dry couple of days that my support system for the chimney has failed and it's caught fire. This butterfly valve has just failed on me as well, so I think there's some sort of clip mechanism here and it's just come undone. So I lifted it up and of course the whole lot come away, so I might have to modify that. We've got a little bit more extraction going on. It's towards the close of the day now. We've had a good day. It's been really red hot, a lovely day. Because of the price of fuel going up, who knows where we're going to be this winter. We may end up both burning more timber than we normally do, just because it's become the cheapest option, and that is no joke. But if I calculate how long it takes me to fell, process, extract, split and then get it to home, now that has become cheaper than paying the gas bill. What day is today? You know, it's Friday. Can you believe that already? It only seems like 10 seconds ago since I was saying it's Friday last week. Thanks Woodlanders for watching another wood log this week. Don't forget, if you're able to, try and enjoy the woodlands again this week. Beautiful time of year. We'll see you on the next one.